Admiral Helena Chen stood at the viewport of the CSS Prometheus, her weathered hands clasped behind her back, as she watched the shimmering barrier that had imprisoned humanity in their solar system for the past 30 years. The quantum quarantine field stretched across space like an iridescent curtain, beautiful, yet a constant reminder of humanity's shame. Final systems check complete, Admiral. Commander Marcus Rivera reported from his station. Project Lazarus is ready. Helena allowed herself a small smile. For 3 decades, the Galactic Concordat had dismissed humans as dangerously unpredictable, confining them to their home system with technology supposedly beyond human comprehension. They never bothered to ask why humans accepted their imprisonment so quietly. Signal the rest of the fleet, Helena ordered. Begin the sequence. Across the bridge, officers moved with practiced precision. The Prometheus wasn't just humanity's most advanced warship. It was their revenge, built in plain sight while their jailers watched with smug superiority. The aliens had expected humans to rage against their barriers, to exhaust themselves trying to break through with brute force. Instead, humanity had done what they did best. They observed, analyzed, and innovated. The quantum field's energy signature rippled across her tactical display. The Concordat's greatest achievement, a barrier that adapted to any conventional attempt to breach it. But conventional thinking had always been humanity's weakness, until it became their greatest strength. Ma'am, Rivera's voice carried an edge of excitement. The quantum inversors are aligned. We're detecting the predicted field fluctuations. Helena nodded. Proceed with Phase 2. The Prometheus's experimental drive core hummed to life, its revolutionary design the product of countless sacrifices and brilliance. While the Concordat thought humans were simply surviving behind their barriers, they had been evolving. Every failed attempt to breach the quarantine had taught them something new, each setback spurring further innovation. Field distortion at 40%, Rivera announced. 60%, 80%. The barrier before them began to shimmer more intensely, its perfect symmetry disturbed by the Prometheus's quantum signature. The aliens had created their barrier using advanced technology, but they'd failed to account for human ingenuity. The drive core didn't try to break through the barrier. Instead, it temporarily made the Prometheus exist in a state the barrier couldn't recognize. Distortion at maximum. We're ready, Admiral. Helena straightened her uniform. Send the message to the Concordat. Let's see how they react to impossible humans doing the impossible. The communication officer nodded, transmitting the carefully prepared declaration across all Concordat frequencies. Attention Galactic Concordat. This is Admiral Helena Chen of the Confederate spaceship Prometheus. Your quarantine of humanity ends today. We offer you a choice. Acknowledge humanity as equals and open diplomatic relations, or witness firsthand why you feared us enough to imprison us. The response was immediate. A flood of panicked communications between Concordat vessels as their sensors detected the impossible. A human warship preparing to breach their impenetrable barrier. Multiple Concordat vessels approaching, Tactical reported. They're charging weapons. Helena's smile grew sharper. They still think they can intimidate us. Ready the demonstration package. The demonstration package was another example of humanity's lateral thinking. While the Concordat had expected humans to develop weapons, they hadn't expected them to completely reimagine how space combat worked. Concordat ships in range, Rivera reported. They're demanding our immediate surrender. Deploy the mirrors. From the Prometheus's hull, hundreds of small objects emerged, each barely larger than a satellite. The Concordat ships didn't even bother targeting them. Their sensors identified them as debris. That was their first mistake. Mirrors in position. Rivera confirmed. Field calibration complete. Send them our response, Helena ordered. The mirrors suddenly activated, creating a complex network of quantum-entangled fields. The Concordat ships fired, their energy weapons lancing out toward the Prometheus. But instead of impacting the human vessel, their attacks were caught in the mirror network, redirected and amplified before being sent back at their originators. The alien shields, designed to withstand direct attacks, prove useless against their own weapons turned against them. Systems overloaded, emergency alerts blared across Concordat frequencies as their ships went dark. All Concordat vessels disabled. Tactical reported with quiet satisfaction. No casualties, as planned. Helena nodded. The demonstration had been perfectly calibrated. Overwhelming, but not lethal. Humanity wanted to prove their worth, not start a war. Though if war came, they were ready. The barrier's quantum signature is destabilizing, Rivera announced. Breach point forming. This was the moment of truth. 30 years of preparation, of learning and adapting, had led to this moment. The barrier before them began to part like a curtain, humanity's understanding of its fundamental principles, allowing them to accomplish what the Concordat had deemed impossible. Take us through, Helena ordered. Send word to Earth. Operation Lazarus is a success. Humanity's resurrection has begun. As the Prometheus glided through the breach, Helena thought about all the sacrifices that had led to this moment. The Concordat had meant to teach humanity humility. Instead, they taught them patience, ingenuity, and most importantly, the value of being underestimated. The real question now was whether the Concordat would learn from their mistake, or if they needed a few more demonstrations of why humanity had earned their place among the stars. Multiple Concordat diplomatic vessels approaching. Communications reported. They're requesting an immediate conference. Helena's smile reached her eyes. Now that's more like it. It seems they're finally ready to talk as equals. The Prometheus sailed forward into unquarantined space, a symbol of humanity's indomitable spirit and a reminder to the galaxy. Never underestimate a species that turns barriers into bridges and imprisonment into innovation. The Concordat's emergency session erupted into chaos as the holographic display showed the impossible. The CSS Prometheus drifting serenely through their quantum barrier, surrounded by disabled Concordat warships. First speakers Exile, their crystalline form shimmering with agitation, called for order among the assembled representatives of the galaxy's most powerful civilizations. The humans have violated their quarantine. Third speaker Ven insisted, their bioluminescent tendrils pulsing with alarm. We must respond with immediate force. But second speaker Rylan, oldest among them, raised a stabilizing appendage. Perhaps we should first understand how they accomplished this feat. Our barrier technology was supposed to be beyond their comprehension. In the observation deck of the Prometheus, Admiral Chen watched the diplomatic vessels approach with carefully measured caution. Her tactical display showed their weapons powered down, a promising sign. But she knew the real test was yet to come. Ghost Fleet reports ready, Commander Rivera announced quietly. Waiting for your signal. Helena nodded, keeping her expression neutral as she faced the incoming transmission from the Concordat representatives. This was the moment that would determine whether diplomacy would prevail or if humanity needed to provide a more dramatic demonstration of their capabilities. The holographic projection materialized, showing the assembled Concordat leadership. Their alien features displayed various degrees of shock, anger, and, most importantly, fear. First speaker Zaxel's crystalline form refracted light in patterns that their xenologists had learned indicated extreme stress. Admiral Chen, Zaxel began, their harmonic voice carefully modulated. Your breach of the quarantine is a serious violation of Concordat law. Interesting perspective, Helena replied coolly. We see it as the natural conclusion of an illegal imprisonment of a sentient species. But perhaps we should discuss more pressing matters, like the fleet of automated warships we've positioned throughout Concordat space while you were focused on our little barrier demonstration. The revelation hit like a physical blow. Second speaker Ryland's sensor stalks went rigid. Impossible. Our detection networks are based on conventional drive signatures, Helena interrupted. Just like your impenetrable barrier was based on conventional physics. Humanity has moved beyond conventional thinking. Would you like a demonstration? She nodded to Rivera, who sent the signal. Across Concordat space, hundreds of previously invisible ships suddenly appeared, their quantum mirrors deactivating to reveal vessels that had slipped past the most sophisticated detection systems in the galaxy. By the first light, third speaker Ven whispered, their bioluminescence dimming in shock. Helena allowed herself a small smile. The Ghost Fleet represents just one of humanity's developments during our imprisonment. We could have used them to launch a surprise attack. Instead, we're using them to open a dialogue. A dialogue at gunpoint. First speaker Exiled observed tersely. Would you have listened otherwise? Helena countered. 30 years ago, you judged humanity too dangerous to join galactic society. You never asked why we explored so aggressively, why we developed so quickly, why we seemed so focused on military technology. You assumed you understood us, and that assumption led to this moment. She gestured, and the tactical display updated, showing the Ghost Fleet's true capabilities. The aliens watched in stunned silence as they realized these ships could have struck at the heart of their civilization at any time. Humanity doesn't want war, Helena continued. We want partnership, equal partnership. Our dangerous unpredictability, as you called it, isn't a flaw. It's our greatest strength. While your civilizations have grown comfortable with incremental progress, humanity constantly pushes boundaries, seeks new solutions, transforms limitations into opportunities. Second speaker Rylan moved forward, their ancient eyes studying Helena intently. You've certainly proved that point, Admiral. But why reveal your advantage? Why not maintain the element of surprise? Helena's expression softened slightly. Because humanity's greatest strength isn't our technology or our ingenuity. It's our ability to turn enemies into allies. The Ghost Fleet isn't here to threaten you. It's here to protect you. Protect us. First speaker Exil's crystalline form pulsed with confusion. From what? From something you've forgotten, Helena replied grimly. Something that's been sleeping in the dark between galaxies. Something that's beginning to wake up. Your civilizations have grown stagnant, comfortable in your technological superiority. But humanity, we've been preparing for threats you can't imagine. The revelation landed like a meteor among the Concordat leadership. They had imprisoned humanity thinking they were containing a threat. Instead, they had nearly deprived themselves of their greatest potential ally against a danger they had forgotten existed. Perhaps, second speaker Ryland said slowly, it is time we revisited our assessment of humanity's place in the galaxy. Helena nodded. That would be wise. Because the choice before you isn't whether to accept humanity as equals. The choice is whether you want humanity standing beside you or leaving you to face the darkness alone. The Ghost Fleet hung silently in space around them, no longer a threat but a promise of protection, of innovation, of a future where humanity's dangerous unpredictability might be the galaxy's greatest asset. The real war was coming, and humanity had spent 30 years getting ready for it. Deep within the crystalline spires of the Concordat's central chamber, the revelation of humanity's warning sparked a political firestorm. The council chamber, normally a model of ordered debate, had devolved into factions as species took sides on the human question. First speaker Exiled watched their carefully maintained order crumble. The Mercurian alliance, led by the silicon-based Ardani, demanded immediate military action against the human fleet. The collective minds of the Trice Empire advocated for diplomatic engagement, and the ancient Wraith Observatory, represented by second speaker Raylan, insisted on investigating humanity's claims about the awakening threat. The humans speak of dangers between galaxies, Rylan addressed the chamber, their age-worn sensor stalks swaying with urgency. Our oldest records speak of such threats, records we have chosen to forget. Convenient legends, Ven countered, their bioluminescent patterns flashing with skepticism. The humans fabricate these tales to manipulate us. Their Ghost Fleet proves they are exactly what we feared, too dangerous to trust. Aboard the Prometheus, Admiral Chen reviewed the encrypted transmission from Earth Command. The quantum encrypted data confirmed her worst fears. The deep space monitoring stations had detected movement. The ancient enemy was stirring earlier than predicted. The Concordat's still arguing, Commander Rivera reported, monitoring the diplomatic channels. Some of them believe us, but others need proof. Helena finished grimly. She activated the ship's quantum communication array. This is Admiral Chen, who all Ghost Fleet vessels. Initiate Protocol Cassandra. Across Concordat space, the human ships began broadcasting data, deep space telemetry, gravitational anomalies, and radiation patterns that told a chilling story. The thing hibernating between galaxies was vast, ancient, and hungry, and it was waking up. In the council chamber, the evidence appeared on every display. The Ardani's crystalline forms vibrated with shock as their advanced sensors confirmed the data's authenticity. The Trice Empire's collective consciousness fell silent, processing the implications. This is why humanity developed so aggressively. Helena's voice filled the chamber as she addressed the council directly. Our scientists detected the first signs centuries ago. We knew something was out there, something that had visited before. The ruins on Mars weren't left by accident. They were a warning. The chamber erupted again, but differently now. Species that had been demanding human containment moments before were suddenly calling for alliance. Others, driven by fear or pride, still resisted. Even if this threat is real. First Speaker Zaxel interjected, their crystalline form refracting light in complex patterns of concern. Why should we trust humanity to help us? You've demonstrated your ability to deceive us, to infiltrate our space undetected. Because we could have struck at any time, but we didn't, Helena replied. The Ghost Fleet could have disabled your worlds, disrupted your governments, or simply watched as this threat consumed you. Instead, we're here, offering our help, sharing our knowledge. Second Speaker Ryland moved to the center of the chamber, their ancient form commanding attention. I have accessed our oldest archives. The patterns in the human data match records from the Great Darkness, an era we chose to forget, when our ancestors faced extinction from beyond the galactic rim. The chamber fell silent as Ryland projected images that mirrored humanity's warnings, vast shapes moving between stars, civilizations falling silent, entire sectors of space going dark. Our ancestors survived, Ryland continued, but at such cost that they chose to forget rather than remember. They built the Concordat not to govern, but to hide, to maintain the illusion of safety through stagnation. We thought humanity's drive to explore and advance was dangerous. We never considered it might be necessary. Helena's voice carried a weight of understanding. Earth's ancient myths all tell the same story, of gods and monsters that came from the sky, of battles that shaped our world. We didn't forget. We prepared. Every advancement, every innovation, every step into space was driven by the knowledge that we needed to be ready. The Concordat chamber buzzed with new energy as species began to align themselves with humanity's cause. The Ardani, their silicon minds processing the data with cold logic, were the first to formally pledge alliance. The Trice Empire followed, their collective consciousness recognizing the strength in unity. But some, like Third Speaker Ven and their followers, remained unconvinced. They saw in humanity's warning an opportunity for conquest, a trick to divide the Concordat from within. How convenient! Ven's bioluminescence pulsed with skepticism. That humanity arrives with this warning just as they demonstrate their military superiority. They seek to rule us through fear. If we wanted to rule, Helena responded calmly, we wouldn't be standing here talking. The Ghost Fleet proved we could have taken control at any time. We're not here to conquer. We're here because the real enemy doesn't care about our political differences. It doesn't negotiate. It doesn't show mercy. It consumes. As if to punctuate her words, new alerts flashed across the chamber's displays. Deep space sensors were detecting massive gravitational disturbances. The ancient enemy wasn't just stirring. It was awakening faster than anyone had predicted. The Concordat faced a choice: maintain their comfortable illusions of superiority and control, or embrace the uncomfortable truth that humanity's dangerous unpredictability might be exactly what they needed to survive. The fractures in the council deepened, but not along the lines anyone had expected. The division now wasn't between those who feared humanity and those who accepted them. It was between those who could face the coming darkness and those who would rather pretend it didn't exist. And in the void between galaxies, something vast and hungry stirred, indifferent to the political squabbles of those who would soon become its prey. The deep space sensor feeds painted a nightmarish picture across the Prometheus's command deck. Massive gravitational distortions rippled through space, distorting light itself as ancient entities began to stir. Admiral Chen watched the data streams with grim determination, knowing that everything humanity had prepared for was about to be put to the test. Multiple Concordat vessels approaching, Commander Rivera reported, led by Second Speaker Ryland's flagship. They're requesting emergency docking. The ancient Ryland had emerged as humanity's strongest advocate within the fractured Concordat, their species' genetic memory preserving echoes of the horror that had nearly consumed the galaxy eons ago. As their delegation boarded the Prometheus, Helena noted the urgency in their movements. The deep archives have been unsealed, Ryland announced without preamble, their sensor stalks quivering. What we found, Admiral, your people were right. The patterns match exactly. The great darkness doesn't just consume life, it consumes space itself. Reality breaks down in its wake. Helena nodded grimly. We know. Earth's oldest monuments weren't just buildings. They were warning systems, calibrated to detect specific quantum frequencies. The ancient civilizations that visited Earth weren't colonizers or conquerors. They were refugees, running from something they couldn't fight. But you believe we can fight it now? Ryland's question carried the weight of countless civilizations' hopes. We have to, Helena replied, activating a secure holographic display. This is what humanity has really been working on for the past 30 years. The display showed a massive construction project hidden in Earth's asteroid belt, a weapon platform unlike anything the Concordat had ever conceived. But it wasn't just one weapon. The entire belt had been transformed into an interconnected defense system. The quantum barrier you used to imprison us. Helena continued, we didn't just learn to bypass it. We learned to weaponize it. The Ghost Fleet ships aren't just warships. They're focal points for a quantum web that can rewrite the laws of physics within defined spaces. Ryland's sensor stalks went rigid with understanding. You've turned our own technology against the great darkness. Improved it, Helena corrected. Your civilization stopped innovating because you were afraid of drawing attention. Humanity kept pushing forward because we knew we had no choice. The barrier technology was brilliant, but limited. We made it adaptable, aggressive. Across the ship's displays, the gravitational distortions grew stronger. The ancient enemy was no longer simply stirring. It was awakening fully, and far faster than anyone had predicted. First Speaker Exiled and their supporters still refused to acknowledge the threat. Ryland reported grimly, they've ordered the Concordat fleet to intercept and destroy your ghost fleet. They believe if they eliminate humanity, the threat will somehow disappear. Helena's expression hardened. Then they'll witness what humanity can really do. Commander Rivera, initiate Protocol Aegis. Throughout Concordat space, the Ghost Fleet ships began to move in perfect synchronization. The quantum web between them activated, creating a complex network of overlapping fields that began to alter the fabric of space itself. By the first light, Ryland whispered, watching as the human ships executed maneuvers that should have been impossible. What have you created? A defense grid, Helena explained. Each ship acts as a node in a quantum network that can detect and respond to threats on a fundamental level. The great darkness consumes reality. Fine, we'll give it indigestion. Warning alerts suddenly blared across every ship in both human and Concordat space. The enemy had arrived. Vast, dark shapes moving between the stars, distorting everything in their path. Reality itself seemed to fray around them. Multiple Class Omega anomalies detected, Rivera reported, his voice steady despite the terror such entities normally inspired. The quantum web is responding. Grid integrity at maximum. The Ghost Fleet moved as one, their quantum fields expanding and interlocking. Where the ancient entities touched these fields, they recoiled. For the first time in their ageless existence, they encountered space that refused to yield to their hunger. Impossible, Rylan breathed, watching as humanity's technology did what countless civilizations had failed to do: hurt the unhurtable, resist the irresistible. But the battle was far from over. The great darkness had consumed galaxies, and it would not be denied its feast easily. As humanity's defense grid held the line, the real question remained: would the Concordat overcome its fear and pride in time to join the fight, or would humanity stand alone against the darkness between stars? The answer would determine not just the fate of Earth or the Concordat, but of all reality within the ancient enemy's reach. And aboard the Prometheus, Admiral Chen prepared to demonstrate why humanity's dangerous unpredictability was about to become the galaxy's greatest weapon. Reality itself screamed as the great darkness crashed against humanity's quantum defense grid. The Ghost Fleet held their positions, each ship a beacon of defiance against entities that had previously known no resistance. Aboard the Prometheus, Admiral Chen watched as the battle for existence itself unfolded. Grid stability at 60% and falling. Commander Rivera reported, his hands dancing across the tactical controls. The enemy is learning, adapting to our quantum fields, just as we predicted they would. Helena responded calmly. Signal the Concordat vessels. It's time to show them why we need to work together. Across what remained of normal space, the great darkness pressed its attack. Where its presence touched unprotected areas, reality simply ceased to exist, leaving behind voids that defied comprehension. The Concordat fleet, divided between Zaxel's hardliners and Ryland's supporters, watched in horror as their weapons proved useless against the ancient enemy. This is Admiral Chen to all Concordat vessels. Helena's voice cut through the chaos of battle. What you're witnessing is why humanity never stopped preparing, never stopped innovating. But our defense grid isn't just a weapon, it's an invitation. Your barrier technology combined with our adaptability created this shield. Imagine what else we could accomplish together. On the Concordat command ship, First Speaker Zaxel watched as their most powerful weapons dissipated harmlessly against the cosmic horrors. Their crystalline form vibrated with the realization that pride had nearly doomed them all. The humans are right, Second Speaker Ryland pressed. Their unpredictability, their constant drive to improve, these aren't weaknesses. They're exactly what we need to survive. As if to emphasize the point, a section of the quantum grid failed, creating a gap through which the great darkness began to pour. But instead of retreating, the Ghost Fleet executed a maneuver that seemed to defy physics itself. Ships moved in impossible patterns, their quantum fields adapting and evolving in real time. Now, Commander, Helena ordered, initiate the Prometheus protocol. The massive human warship's experimental drive core surged to life, channeling power that made the fabric of space-time shudder. The quantum grid didn't just defend now. It attacked, turning the great darkness's reality-destroying power back upon itself. All Concordat vessels, Helena broadcast, you've seen what humanity can do alone. But we're offering you a choice. Stand with us. Add your technology to ours, and together we can end this threat once and for all. For a moment, the galaxy seemed to hold its breath. Then, one by one, Concordat ships began moving into formation with the Ghost Fleet. Their barrier technology, originally designed to imprison humanity, merged with the quantum grid, strengthening it, expanding it. Grid stability rising, Rivera reported with growing excitement. 80%, 90%, beyond theoretical limits. The Concordat ships, their technology is resonating with ours perfectly. The combined fleet moved as one, their unified quantum field creating something new. A weapon that didn't just resist the great darkness, but actively rewrote the laws of physics around it. Where the ancient entities had consumed reality, this new power forced reality to fight back. By the first light, Rylan whispered, watching as the great darkness recoiled for the first time in cosmic history. "We're not just defending, we're winning." The battle reached its crescendo as humanity's innovations and the Concordat's established technology created a feedback loop of continuous adaptation. The quantum grid evolved faster than the ancient enemy could respond, turning its own universe-ending power against it. With a reality-bending shriek that echoed across dimensions, the great darkness began to retreat. Where it had consumed space, the combined human Concordat field restored it, sealing the wounds in reality itself. "They're running," Rivera announced in disbelief. "The quantum grid, it's not just driving them back. It's forcing them into dormancy." As the ancient enemy fled back to the void between galaxies, the assembled fleet hung in space, human and alien crews alike trying to process what they had just achieved. Centuries of horror, eons of helplessness against cosmic forces, ended by cooperation between the galaxy's oldest civilizations and its most innovative newcomers. In the Concordat chamber, first speaker Zaxel faced Admiral Chen, not as a superior being addressing a quarantined race, but as an equal facing humanity's representative. "We imprisoned you because we feared what your unpredictability might bring," Zaxel admitted, their crystalline form reflecting the light of a galaxy now made safer by human innovation. "We never considered that this same trait would be our salvation." Helena smiled. "The greatest achievements never come from staying within comfortable boundaries. They come from pushing limits, from combining different perspectives, from turning weaknesses into strengths." "And now?" Rylan asked, their ancient sensor stalks quivering with possibilities. "What becomes of humanity's relationship with the Concordat?" "Now," Helena replied, "we do what humanity does best. We keep innovating, keep exploring, keep pushing boundaries. But this time, we do it together. The great darkness isn't gone forever. It's out there, adapting, evolving. When it returns, it will find a galaxy united, with humanity's drive to improve combined with the Concordat's established wisdom." As the Ghost Fleet and Concordat ships began the work of strengthening reality against future incursions, Helena looked out at the stars. No longer a barrier to be overcome, but a frontier to be explored together. Humanity had proven itself not through conquest or dominance, but by offering protection, by turning imprisonment into opportunity, by showing that the very traits others feared could become the foundation of a stronger universe. The dawn of a new age had arrived, born from the marriage of human unpredictability and alien wisdom. And in the vast darkness between stars, life would continue to evolve, to adapt, to grow. Not in spite of its differences, but because of them.